Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. Today I want to do something a little different for our cards. It still includes a lot of die cutting, but it also includes some stitching. And Nichol Spohr has a collection out for Spellbinders that seems to be ongoing right now of various dies that we can do very simple, basic stitches on. And hers are all made of felt for the packaging, but we can also do it out of paper. And I know not everyone likes to stitch, so we'll talk about some options there as well. If you like the dies and you want to use them, but you don't want to actually stitch on them, there are other alternatives for that. So I want to start with this first one called the Felt Cheeky Apple. And these are good size dies, so they easily fill up like an A2 size card. And I'm going to basically just be doing the fruit dies today. There's other little animals, and she's got some dies out for the winter holidays. So get on Spellbinders if you like to stitch or if you like these dies, and see what all she has in her collection. I will be doing these in felt at some point, but for now, I'm just going to show them to you in paper because they're super simple to make. And then I love to do the stitching, and you can do whatever technique that you prefer. So here is the first one. This is the apple. One thing is, not all, but a lot of the dies have like a solid back piece. So if I wanted to make this, say, out of felt or fabric, I could do that and then put a little stuffing in it and have like a little stuffed apple. So there is a solid background if you wish to use that, and you can use that with the front of the die. This one has the little eyes and mouth and cheeks. I probably won't be doing that, but that is an option if you want to use it with the arms. So I just did mine all out of paper, and I just did a back stitch. There are videos. Nichol has videos on YouTube on how to put these together, and she uses a chain stitch, I believe. But if you have a certain stitch that you like, use it. I like the back stitch, and I'll show you what the back of it looks like. I think it looks nice on the back as well. I decided to pair mine up with this little guy. Now you can just use the apple on its own. We'll look at a couple of them where that's all I used. But if you've got some other little pieces that you want to combine, go for it. I thought the little worm was perfect for the apple. My little worm is from the Advent 25-day calendar from last year. I knew I had this little guy, and I thought he's the perfect size, and he's so cute with my apple. And who's to say that a worm and an apple can't be best friends? The other thing I wanted to pull out and use are my Better Press sentiments. I love the Better Press system, and I'm finally getting quite a few different sentiments or words. I think this is from a collection that's maybe geared more for scrapbooking, but I think it works for cards too. And some different sayings than our traditional, just a note, happy birthday, that kind of thing. So this time I used Best Friends, and this is from the All Seasons Spring press plate. And these can be foiled as well. So if you're into foiling, the Better Press plates can also be used for foiling. So this was really actually pretty simple. I find it very relaxing to stitch. But let's say you're not into the actual stitching. You want to do something else. You like the die, but you don't want to stitch it. So this time, you can see the little holes there, and I just took a marker and I used a black one on the outside, and I think I started with kind of a tan color, and that wasn't dark enough, so I went over it with a light gray. And I just took my time, and I just went from hole to hole and basically connected all those holes so it looks like it is stitched, even though it really isn't. Another option is to use some gems. So I had all these little bitty gems, and I use those on the leaf. So I could combine these. We'll see where I've combined these with the stitching. You can do whatever combinations you want. I did go back and decide I like the line even between all the little gems. It just made it kind of come together a little better. More like it was stitched, even though it has gems on it. And then I have a little different center for my flower. this is a really neat idea to use the felt and this dye, but you really, I don't think, can do as easily with paper as you could with felt using this dye. So I just use this little piece for the center of my flower. And if I were mailing these, if I'm going to mail them, I'm going to make them out of paper because the felt would be thicker and obviously more costly these days to mail. This would be too tall to, I think, easily mail. And this time I use Nature's Beauty, and that's also in the All Seasons Spring Better Press plate. So that gives you kind of two different ideas. You can just use it plain by itself, or if you have another little dye that you want to add to it, easy enough to pair it up with something else in your collection. Okay, the next fruit I have is a strawberry, and I'm actually going to use this. I need a thank you note. So this is the one I'm going to be sending. This is from the Felted Blossom. Again, another nice big die, has a solid back piece. And then this piece I used for this card, I used this for my black background. But if I wanted to have like black and then have a red backer, I could do that right there. And this one I just totally stitched. Again, I like to do that. If I'm only putting it on a card base, I don't need to put that third layer or the background on it. I just have the little piece of black just to fill in where all those little seeds would be. And then this time I have just a note to say thanks. And that is from the Sentiments of Wonder Better Press plate. I pressed them out here because there's just a little different font to that. All different occasions for this one, which I really like. So pretty easy to make that, and I'll just write my little note in there, and I'll be ready to send this off as a thank you. And then I also wanted to combine some stitching again with some more little gems, so you can see how just a little bit different look. If you wanted, you could put gems all the way around in all the holes, but that was a lot for me. So because I like to stitch, I thought I can just mix it up and combine it. Made the same way this time. The Sweet Life is my little sentiment, and that is from All Seasons Summer. So I have found these have been really great for some different sentiments. So again, mixing it up with some little gems. And then she has a bunny, and it's too bad I didn't have this earlier. This would have been perfect for the Easter holiday. It's got the bunny and the felt carrot. So let me show you what I did with this one. I used the stage die from Karen Berniston, and it pops up onto the stage. So this will sit up and just be a nice little decoration. And I made mine very simple. I could add some flowers around it, but my focus was on the rabbit and the carrots. On this one, it does have a solid background for the back of it. And this time, I want it to be neat because you can see the back of it. This is what the stitching looks like on the back when I use the back stitch. And then on the carrots, they actually, this front and this front go back to back. But I thought, I'm going to save myself some time. I'll stitch on the front and just glue it down and then trim around it so I have a solid back. I didn't feel the need to have stitching on the back. The bunny, yes, you have to, but I didn't feel the need to do that on the carrots. Saved me just a little bit of time. The other thing is this has a heart on it, and there is a separate little heart piece if you want to cut that out. I did not really want to emphasize the heart. I would have preferred just a solid tummy piece. So I just made that the same color just because the heart punches out into the tummy piece. But I could have just taken two back pieces if I wanted to do that and then not have this at all, or just have this and just stitch around this top layer without putting the second layer. This is the light pink layer. I could have just omitted that if I wanted to. So a few options with your bunny depending on what you want to do with it. And then the stage is from Karen Burniston, and I used the grass stage add-ons just for around my border here, and then a little bit of grass in the front and the back on the stage. Again, I can add some flowers. This has a couple of cute flowers if I want to add more to it. And then Hippity Hoppity. That comes from the All Seasons Spring. So I did get quite a bit of use out of this one press plate. But I like this because then I can set it up and just use it as a decoration. Then let's move on more towards like fall, late summer or fall. And I love this sunflower. Now this is super simple in paper. The only stitching on this are the leaves and around the center here of the flower. So these three pieces you just stack up and you stitch. Now I just made mine kind of shiny. That's the packing tape where I put it on cardstock before I die cut it out. But I love, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this. This is kind of like all gathered up and stitched down. And I did check out Nicole's YouTube video on how to do that. Very simple. It's using this die here, and she explains how to do that, and it is not hard. Again, not something I think I could do with paper, but certainly in felt. So this one I definitely want to make in felt. And I think this was like when I look at the samples online that she had, I think this was a pillow. So definitely that is something that I want to do. And this will be a great project maybe when it starts to get cool again in the fall and I just want to sit and be cozy and do some stitching. The Happiness Blooms in the Meadow is from the Through the Meadows Sentiments. And again, this has a lot of different ones. So I can either, on this one, I can do them individually, which is kind of nice, and cut them out, or just do it directly. If I wanted to better press this directly into the card base, I can do that. On these other ones here, the All Seasons ones, you can do them all, cut them out all together, or sometimes I'm like, I don't probably need all of them. I will just ink up one. I put it on my Better Press platform so I can just line up the piece of paper and just get that and then cut it out. So if you don't want to do them all, you don't have to. Some of them give you the option just to do one at a time, just depending on what the press plate has. So love this one. Super simple. Just the leaves and the center of the flower are stitched. And then I'm going to show you this because I split the pieces up. I absolutely love this pumpkin. And I think this was probably made into a little pillow as well. But look at how big that pumpkin is. I love it. And then it has all these other little pieces. So if you want the door and the window, the mushrooms, the leaves, and a couple of flowers. Now, personally, I probably will not be using this. And I say that and then watch me use them. But for this go round, I did not use this. And I wanted to use the mushrooms, but I thought I'm going to use the mushrooms separately with another die with one of the gnomes. I just thought that would be sort of cute. And I could make the mushrooms, but not have them with my pumpkins because I had something else in mind for that. So there's my two little mushrooms. My gnome, there's a lot of gnomes out there. This is a little one I had, Garden Buddies from Spellbinders. He's a little guy. I could easily use a larger gnome. And then Happy Little Moments. That's from the All Seasons Spring Better Press plate. But love that little guy. Very simple to do those mushrooms. And it just gives a really basic card a totally different look. Again, you could just leave. This would be a good one to just leave the holes there. And if you wanted to take a marker and just go around and connect all those holes, so simple to do that. And then the pumpkin. This is the one I was so excited to make, and I will definitely be doing this one in felt. But I knew I had this squirrel, and I wanted to combine this great big pumpkin. I used the leaves in the set with this squirrel. I've used this. This is an old set from Sizzix, the two different squirrels, and it has its own leaves too, a couple mushrooms and the acorns. And this is called Harvest Squirrels. So this has been around for a long time, but a nice big squirrel, and he just lines it perfectly along that great big old pumpkin. And then I used Pick of the Patch from the All Seasons Autumn. Some of these others, these Golden Days, So Very Thankful, Gather Together, I could have really used any of those with the pumpkin. And then there are a couple Halloween ones, so I could maybe make that a little bit spooky and add some little black pieces of paper for the eyes and the mouth if I wanted to use it, say, for Halloween. And I want to just also show you, if you're interested in the better press, this is your thing, you can get these individually, and there is actually a fourth plate to this collection. This is all season, so there's all seasons winter. So I bought these as a bundle from Spellbinders. So you can buy them as a bundle or you can buy them individually. So if you're into the better press, this might be something you want to check out and see if there's enough sentiments that you can use for your cards. But this was just to give you a little different look today. And if you're into stitching, this might be something that you would really enjoy doing. Little different than the 12 days of Stitchmas as far as the pattern. And like I said, Nichol has other felt patterns that's what all these were, but I just chose to do it in paper. And then again, if you don't stitch but you like the designs, easy enough just to combine all those little holes with a marker, or you could even just leave it plain or add some gems. Totally up to what you enjoy doing and the look that you like. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you again in a future video.